Venomoth, 2 Greymon, a Rampant Crawler, a playset of Draw 2s, and a 4 of Diamonds. Yeah, I don't think I can compete with this. I'm out.
I don't even know how to play!
Surprise, surprise. Guess what's back? It's not the genre.
You really gotta hand it to Bamco, they're really bad at committing and really bad at giving up. But are they bad at making video games?
Lol, we'll see.
Nah, this one's actually pretty good. So while the first game was a V-Pet and the second game was a dungeon crawler, the third game is more of a traditional RPG that's disguised as an MMO. Like, there's not sticking to one genre, and then there's not picking one at all. But hey, when in Rome, let them eat cake, eh? Let's dive in. We play as the usual baseball hat wearing chubby chibi, creatively named Junior, alongside your two friends Teddy and Kale. Before you even get started, you get some establishing information. The Awa are the bad guys. Got it. And boy, are you mad about it? Ooh! It's your first day playing this super popular MMO, Digimon Online. Pretty meta. A video game about a video game.
Yo, dog.
So you jump on board, pick your set of 3 starters, and boom bam Bob's your uncle, you're living in the database.
Let's go!
This entry plays the most like a traditional RPG yet. You've got your team of 3 Digimon, and they fight one at a time against singular random encounters, or at the most, other tamers with up to 3 of their own Digimon. Which I kinda like less than the 3 at a time that 2 was doing, simply because now my Digimon don't grow at the same time, and I've gotta rotate them around to keep them all relevant. In battle, you can just do a basic physical attack, use a special technique that uses MP, Digivolve into one of your Digivolutions that you've unlocked, tag out to one of your other Digimon, items, and run away. Special techniques can vary from specifically elementally charged attacks or stuff that damages certain Digimon more, or Growlmon has an attack that can steal items, moves that boost your stats, and even healing stuff. You also have a Baja Blast meter that fills inhumanely slow as you take damage. Like, it literally filled 3 times my whole playthrough. Filling it will set off your blast mode, and you'll fully heal and jump to your mega form for like 3 turns. Really stupid powerful, but it happens so rarely that it's hard to plan for it and rely on it at all. What I find funny though is that running out of MP in 2 meant you were tough out of luck, your options were spent. Have fun sitting there for a few turns to recoup. But in 3, not only do you have a basic fight command that doesn't take MP, but you have way more MP than you'll ever friggin' need. I ran out like 1 time. You can also use healing techniques outside of battle, so I basically just threw all my MP into healing between matches, and even then I was drowning in MP. Most of your stats are self-explanatory. Strength and defense are for physical attacks. Spirit and wisdom act the same, but for magical attacks. Your damaging techniques come in either physical or magical, designated by different colored triangles. Speed influences your accuracy, evasion, and initiative. Charisma is how popular your Digimon is, which exists solely to lock off certain people from playing the card game with you. Like, people are too intimidated by my collective charisma stat to play the minigame with me. That's like turning down a Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel because your dog is too handsome. And then you have tolerances, or elemental resistances, to certain types, which aren't solely based on your species. You can actually train them. You can train all your stats, except charisma, at gyms that you find scattered around the map. And please do! As you level, you gain TP, or training points, that you can then redeem at a gym to do some training. I was holding onto mine in usual RPG resource hoarding fashion, and I was getting rammed, dude. I couldn't hit anything, and I couldn't take a hit. Please do yourself a favor. TP is easy to get, and levels happen often. Treat yourself. Digivolutions are interesting in this one. And by interesting, I mean unexplained entirely in-game, because it would have taken up more space on the disc than their precious FMVs. If I had to put it simply, all of your 8 rookies have the same pool of 44 evolutions they can become. The requirements are just different for all of them. Like, if you get Agumon to level 40, you unlock War Greymon. Just boink, there you go, rookie to mega. Not that you didn't also unlock Greymon at 5 and Metal Greymon at 20, but it's not linear. The stages don't matter in most cases. You never had to touch either Greymon or Metal Greymon. In contrast, while it's just as easy for Renamon to reach Sakuyamon for the same reason, you could also brute force her into War Greymon by pushing Sakuyamon to level 10 and unlocking Devimon, And at 50, Devimon unlocks Myotismon. Myotismon at level 20 with a power of at least 300 gives you Grismon. Get him to 30 with a defense of 280 or greater, and you'll get Metal Greymon, and then pushing Metal Greymon to the max level of 99 will get you War Greymon. So you can ultimately be stubborn and get what you want with whatever rookie, it's just going to take some time and bullheadedness. I wanted an Agumon following me around, but I like Cannondramon, so I did it! And it only took me to within an hour of the end boss to achieve it. Does Monmon reach Cannondramon in just a few hours? Yes.
But I don't want Mon. I want to be stupid.
At least the DNA Digivolutions are represented well here. If your Vmon has XVmon and Stingmon unlocked, you get Pyildramon as well, for example. You can also DNA in battle between two of your Digimon if they're compatible too. That's a step up, and because I had to learn the hard way, I'll throw you a bone. The stat prerequisites are your base rookie stats and not any evolutions or buffed by equipment. Because there's also equipment. It wouldn't be an RPG if it didn't involve grinding out the best gear every time you hit a new town with a shop. It's basic stuff like weapons, shields, and armor. They buff your stats and resistances, and maybe add some quirky little extra effect like poison. But be careful though, because certain effects will overwrite others, and you don't want to mess up your dominant strategy now. You've got 2 extra slots for equipment, and that's where you can put crests. They're like a 3% drop from specific Digimon, and they are well worth grinding out. Of the 5 of them, the 2 you want to go for is the Multi-Crest, dropped by Clockmon, which turns your single basic strike into 3, and the Counter Crest from Tuskmon, which returns 100% of the damage taken from enemy attacks. Which is high-key super broken. Like, I'll smack a dude for 200 damage, and he'll turn around and absolutely knock my block off for 10 times that amount, and then I'll just counter it and murk him outright. Like, I'm absolutely not winning with my own strength. I am exploiting a gimmick, absolutely. It feels so cheap. But also, I'm not skipping battles. And I did my fair share of grinding. And all that considered, the difficulty was pretty perfect, even with the Counter Crest. It would be a friggin' nightmare to play without it. They released a revised version of this game to PAL regions as Digimon World 2003, as 2 never made it over there. Lucky them. And on top of an added post-game and way longer load times, they also nerfed the crests to only activate 50% of the time, instead of the 100% in the original.
But hey, they made their bed, I'm gonna sleep in it.
Story goes a little like this. The Megami Corporation has made this new virtual reality MMO RPG called Digimon Online, which you're super pumped about, because otherwise there wouldn't be a game. I'm not sure where virtual reality ends and New Dimension begins, because you're like straight up yoinked to the digital world. There's no meat sack left in your room wearing a headset. There's even alternate exit points later on. You're in it, man. But are you gonna win it? Not if terrorists have anything to say about it. Yeah, you're stuck here. They straight up SAO'd your ass. And it's your typical big corporate Megami leader comes out like, "We're having issues. This is bad. I blame hacker person." And they're all like, "Time to protagonist." And you find hacker person, and they're like, "Nah, you believed a company with the word corporation after it?" And then you play a little cat and lucky mouse all over the damn map in MMO fashion, collecting intel and badges and overall padding out the game. Uh-oh, big corporation is evil? Who would have guessed? And now everyone are Oinkmon. And the Awa have made a little goober that fuses with a battleship IRL to make a big metal ass f***er and just starts wrecking stuff. And you're just a little sprite dude in a little sprite world. What are you gonna do? You protagonist a little harder, beat the end boss, Control-Alt-Delete Destromon from the server. But uh-oh, still Porksville. Gotta go ask Airdramon to open an eye and not animate it all. That'll help for reasons I forgot for all of 2 seconds. Until you're challenged by the real end boss, whom was never talked about once, calling himself XXX_Lord Megadeth _42069, and summons you to a friggin' military satellite. Oh, but what's this? The real end boss? It's those little goobers again, but version 2.0. Like, hold on, he's just literally Mewtwo. Snatchmon? Snatchmon. Snatchmon. So he absorbs the previous big bad, like me with a bag of fast eddies, and then fuses with the military satellite, and becomes Galacticmon. How many big beds is this? This is fucked! And so are you! This guy's actually super hard. Unfortunately, it's also one of those games that scrolls the credits once you're done and pops you back to your last save. Freaking hate those. Apparently it's different in the UK version.
But I don't live there.
Do you like trading card games?
Boy, do I!
Really, the only side thing in the game, besides a few optional bosses, is a card game.
And it's really bad.
Just really simple, honestly. It plays out in a single round, and it's ultimately just whoever has the biggest numbers wins. Like, there are some program cards that can buff your cards, or search out specific ones, or attack your opponent's hand, but at the end of the day, you're just slapping your shit down, and whoever owns the better cards wins. It's cute, it's quick, I just play too many actual TCGs, I guess, cause it's boring. And getting new packs of cards has you resorting to kicking trees to find a cardmon to drop packs just for it to run away. It's not worth it. I hear it's plenty of people's favorite part of the game, so go ahead and try it if you want, if you even can. I spent the first 30 hours of my 50-hour playthrough trying to find somebody who would even play the game with me. Cause your charisma needs to be in the friggin' Goldilocks zone for them to even bother. What a stupid arbitrary issue. As if my Digimon stats had anything to do with what my card deck looks like. Stupid. The first half of the game had me really charmed. I was convinced that this was the peak of the Digimon World series. But that title still rests with the one where they shit on the ground. And I'll tell you why. On top of little annoyances like hitting fight instead of technique constantly because they're two different things, the non-existent perspective making certain areas look like an MC Escher painting, and having to Google how to save the friggin' game. The entire game is just fetch quests.
There he is, you cunt.
The battles are good. The core gameplay is decent. But it's one of those games where they expect you to go talk to every NPC between plot points to find a hint as to where to go next. There's way too much having to run back and forth between long windy paths and literal mazes just to find out there's nothing of value here, or you missed a step and need to talk to Jim Bob in the 7-Eleven bathroom in the northern sector without a hint of fast travel ever offered. At certain points you unlock underwater and underground travel as shortcuts, but they run so slow and or are mazes with no landmarks to know where you're going, while Digimon that spam defense up or confuse you just to stall you out and pointless obstacles in your way. Gameplay. I'd rather walk. These suck. Getting lost in a maze for a literal hour is not going to save anybody time. Especially when the random encounters can end up happening so friggin' rapid fire that even if I could get some bearings, they'll just pound you with enemies until you lose it. I was so won over in the first half, when I still had the whole map to explore and I was still full of whimsy and childlike wonder. The running around was charming. It was like, haha, it's trying to be an MMO. Look at this cute stopping animation. Them reusing a bunch of Digimon World 1 sound effects really appeals to my nostalgia for the first game. Totally something they thought of 2 years after the first game came out. Well, Digimon World 1 was mostly ambient nature sounds, and World 2 had a killer OST. World 3 finds a nice balance between the two. Kept the game chill while also blasting your eardrums when I really needed it. This game is good. It's actually really good. The world is cute and colorful with plenty of little Easter eggs and implied bits of story sprinkled around. It feels alive. There's an underground auction, and I visited it during the point in the story where everyone was pigs, and it was still there, and it was like the highlight of the game. It's so funny. It's a bit of a grind and resorts to some real bad padding that was really rampant at the time. I really only started getting impatient in the last couple of hours in the game. It's not a deal breaker. Not as good as the first game, but still legitimately good. Leagues better than the second game.
Now, how much do I hate myself?